Welcome to the Smash Masters podcast, hosted by Stefan Eschi and Nick Priest. This is where we dig into the auto body collision repair field and talk quality repair methods and how the industry is always changing. Buckle up, it gonna get bumpy.
Good afternoon. Bumpy it is.
Episode 57.
57.
Welcome to the Smash Masters podcast. We got, Preston over in TikTok. What's up, dude? You're giving us some
What's
likes.
up? Yeah, come on down.
Yeah. So should be a great show this week. Alex is first.
Definitely first.
You got it, Alex. Good job. Even more first than Preston, because Preston didn't comment. He only liked. So so he got it. Anyway, yeah. It should be a fun show this week. The second thing I wanted to talk about is if you haven't been following the Cam Auto pages, it seems like every other day they're coming out with another contestant or judge for the big GPR PDR competition up there in Canada in July, and it is turning out to be quite the gathering.
It is. It actually is.
The names amongst the judges and the contestants is, I gotta be there. It's gonna be a great show just watching these guys. And just think about it. I mean, if you go to like an advanced skills seminar, you get like 2 or 3 guys that are working on a big smash, and then there's like 30 people in the room all watching that one smash. There are going to be 10 smashes in this place with all these guys working on them. There's not going to be a dull moment. Not to mention there's going to be tool vendors and stuff. It's a trade show. So
a trade show with a huge competition. And like you said, there are some big names. You got the latest one was
Adler,
Ken Clark doing the judging.
Ken Clark doing the judging, Craig Dyer doing the judging.
Craig Dyer, Gedges.
Can't come up with all the names, but it's turning out to be quite some names that are going to come up here. So make sure to get your passport going and sign up for this event, because you're not going to want to miss it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's our guest over here commenting.
Well, let's go ahead and get him in so he can comment on camera.
We got David White from CT Dentworks as a guest. Here he is. I'm doing a Jack Bucknell over there.
Right.
Well, thanks for coming on, man.
I look down to him.
Oh man, you look down on everybody.
Yeah. Right.
Just what happens when you're a little bit taller. Yeah, Trey's a big guy.
Trey's no short guy.
I got to meet him at your
Dents
for Kids.
Yep.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah. So thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here. Long time listener. First time caller.
First time caller.
First time caller, yeah.
Yep. Well, good, because we definitely wanted to hear from you on here. For those that don't know, I reached out. David's local to me. We're both in Connecticut, and Connecticut's small, so everybody in Connecticut's local to each other. And I think it was about 2 years ago. My boss at that time had mentioned he would want to send me to some PDR training, and he was looking at dinking. And I said, hold up. I don't want to go to California for 2 weeks. I said, I got a dog, fish, cat, all that stuff. So I was like, I found this guy on Instagram. So let me go talk to him. Maybe he'll do some training. Lo and behold, he was open to it, and that was great for me because I didn't have to go anywhere.
It was wintertime, and I went, Jerry, show me the money.
I mean, yeah, that's what it's about, right?
And MTE was around the corner, so
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
you had to have some cash for that.
Need,
Some
need a little
bonus
extra
money.
cash flow if you're going to MTE.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That must have helped. But no, it was great. And you were open to it, and we got that done, and I learned a lot from you. So,
We had a good time.
but it was good. It was, and like you said, it was like the 2 weeks before MTE too. So I got like a good 3 weeks off of work. It was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Well, I think it worked out really well, mostly because, like you said, timing is everything. So winter was, I'm obviously most net guys where they live, where there is winter, not them Florida boys, but where you actually have some winter, cold, freezing temperatures, don't want to be outside. Nobody wants to work. Everybody's a little bit slower. So
Yeah.
that worked out well. And then the timing to go to MTE worked out well for you because you were planning on going to MTE. So now you had 2 weeks of just doing PDR, not in a body shop environment, but in a PDR shop.
Mhm.
And you got to basically get hands on a lot of different tools so that you had an idea going to MTE of like, all right, these are the essentials that I need. So you weren't walking in, or I mean, most people walk in there for the first time anyway, and your head's on a swivel, and you leave, and you're like, man, I didn't see anything. Even if you saw everything, you couldn't absorb it to see anything.
Right.
And I've been going for years. I still walk out of there and I see somebody with something. I'm like, man, where'd you get that? I walk every aisle. And they're like, oh, it was over in such and such a booth. I'm like, how did I miss that?
What booth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was that booth? So,
Yep.
yeah, it becomes it's still overwhelming, and rightfully so. Every year it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as a quick tease, I mean, this year again we are bigger. If people that aren't paying it, sorry to detract here, or sidetrack a little bit, but
Are you good?
MTE is just kind of one of those spots where everybody, they don't always know, or they don't always pay attention. But
Mhm.
being in the mix of it, it's, I stood there. We do PPF install now. So we install Steck. Steck is one of probably your top 3 brands, national brands, big names. You got Expel, Steck, 3M. There's 1 or 2 other ones that I'm not real familiar with. But at any rate, walking through there, I walked around the corner, back corner, little tiny booth, shoved in the corner with Steck. I was like, holy shit, Steck's here.
Mhm.
So as I'm talking to Sheldon about it, I'm like, man, I can't believe Steck's here. I said, this is like turning into mini, SEMA. I said, before you know it, Expel will be in here. And he goes, yeah, Expel's here. They signed up for next year already. I was like, oh. And he basically says to me, he goes, this is going to be the new SEMA because the dollar to dollar value, they come here, they're talking to their end user.
Mhm.
And they're right. They're catering to the people that are going to use their product. So if they see every 10 people, there's probably a good chance 5 people, 50% of those people are a PPF installer or looking to be a PPF installer. At SEMA, you talk to 50,000 people and you might get 100 that might be your end
Right.
user.
We're talking
So,
about
Alex,
MTE,
we're talking about-
Alex.
MTE, Mobile Tech Expo, where you want to go.
Yep. You should be there.
So, and anyway,
one year.
we'll go back to your training. That's how we met. Yes.
So I will tell you just on response to that going to MTE my first year, I did leave basically saying, what the hell? Like, what did I just see? I mean, my budget was killed by going and buying the light that I bought. So that turned out I couldn't buy anything else.
Whatever your budget is gone by Friday at noon.
I went over it with
Right.
that one purchase. So it was already, I'm already in the hole. Like,
Damn you, James Lee.
Yeah.
But I did go around, and I set myself a goal when I went there the first time, because I did the training with you those 2 weeks. I went, all right, I got some push tools. I've got lots of glue pulling tools. I said, I need a blending hammer. So I went around and I tested every blending hammer. I think we talked about this last week.
Yep.
And I just, and I picked one, and it wasn't really the one I ended up liking the most. I'm on a different one now, but I still use the hammer. And the fact that I got around and I got to feel every hammer first was great, because then I got to order something with confidence later, instead of, like, oh, I hope this is as good as its description on the internet, so
Yeah.
that was definitely a good experience going to MTE and feeling them.
I would say hammers and knockdowns are the most personal tools
I would say
that
so.
every PDI technician has.
Yeah.
You
Ted.
can show up. I can give you, what's up, Ted? I can give you every tool to fix a door ding, a quarter panel, a hood, a roof. But the hammer and the knockdown, they're extensions of your hands, and they have to feel right in your hands. So when people go, like, what's the best blending hammer to use? What are you doing with it?
Right.
I've got 4 or 5 of them just set up differently, different lengths, different weights. I got a real light, long one because if I'm finishing out a rail and it's, it's my arm plus another 24 inches. I don't want a heavy one. I just want tap, 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 tap.
Right.
So,
Right. And depending on the
really
metal
nice
too.
Pico one that I wanted heavier and shorter for when I was doing, large damage and crown work.
Yeah.
But they all have to feel right, and they all have to fit your bounce.
Yeah. It's a personal preference.
Thank
for
you,
sure.
Matt. There's a guy that got it.
Yeah, you said someone would get it.
Yeah, MTE. If you're a dent guy and you haven't been to MTE, it should be on your must-do yearly. And if nothing to do with tools, you're networking.
Right.
Most guys will go and come back and at least have a few more names in their portfolio of who I can call for whatever, a Lexus guy or a BMW guy or a guy that does a bunch of sprinters or Bryce Kelly.
Anybody and everybody's out
Right.
there. That's for sure.
So,
I mean,
right. It's
I lost
the
you
networking
again.
networking is key
I don't know
for
what's
sure.
happening
I
with this
mean,
stupid.
I lost.
Hang
David
on.
keeps losing audio, so he can't hear us right now.
Right.
He'll be back in a second.
right.
But no, I'll say the same thing. The networking at MTE is the main. You can hear us?
Yep.
All right. So the networking is definitely the main reason that I like to go to MTE. And I think my first year there, I had gone on social media and friended all the names, all the big names and PDR and everything
for a week.
And then
You're
I
right,
was, yeah, that's a great part of going to Florida in the winter too.
Yeah.
But I just went up to everybody that I recognized and I said, "Hi, I'm Stefan," and introduced myself. But literally now, the second year I go, and they're all coming up to me, and go, "Hey man, how you doing?" And it's like, and
It is hands down the best community.
It is. I believe that. I believe that. Coming from Collision, there is no community. There's just hurry up, get it done, and then
Haters. A whole bunch of haters.
All you get.
Politics. Lots of politics.
And listen, it's not always been this way. So
I get it. I get it.
15, 20 years ago, this was a shit show, especially if you worked for Dent Wizard and you went into, some other places or went online. I used to joke about Friday night after 8:00 because all the drunk guys would be on bashing the whiz. I'm like, what time is it? It's only 7:45. Come back in 15 minutes and kill us. So
back when your minutes were free after 7.
It was guaranteed Friday night, Saturday night, somebody be up there ripping a storm up about I hate Whiz sucked, Whiz guys suck, corporate sucks, whatever their complaint was. And I'd be like, oh, look, it's Friday night. You must be drunk. Tis what it is. I mean, I had fun with it. I never took it personal. Guys had bad experiences. Guys had great experiences. And I happen to be one of those guys that had a great experience. I just outgrew the fishbowl and it was time to go. So on we go. But all right, we'll dive back.
Yeah.
Training with Stefan.
Yeah.
That's how I met Stefan. And then Stefan went back to work and then decided he didn't want to work there anymore. And he wanted to be my competitor and live a mile down the road from me and be in my backyard. Rule number 1 of why you don't train people in your neighborhood.
We work together. Come on.
Well,
let's
pay Josh
let's
extra
go
to slow your roll.
I bet you do. Let's go back further. To start with your car career. What? So you started in restoration when it came to cars, correct?
So yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, my father owned a restoration shop, so I grew up in and around restoration, basically watching old cars be resurrected from ground up. And then later years, it was much more of a salvage yard shop where he would go to Copart every week and buy every possible 84, 85, 86 black Mustang LX coupe. Hit in the front, hit in the back, bring them home, chop them in half, weld them together, send them through inspection, and sell them. If you went out in our backyard, it was nothing but a Mustang LX graveyard. Hey, we need a red seat. Go find a red seat out there because one of them, red interior, gray interior. Those are the only two colors you had. Yep. So, you get one that had a red one, you needed a seat, you go out find another one that was out back and just pull a red seat out. It was pretty insane, but that's really towards the end of the career that he had. I did not, to classify, I was not a major body guy. Like I can skin a door, I could do cheater quarters. I knew how to weld, I know how to paint. I didn't make it my livelihood. It was definitely more of I did it for fun and hobbies. That's how I built my muscle cars when I was 18, 19, 20, and so on. Okay. But definitely to sit there, I don't ever want to lead the fact that I was a restoration, like you guys would smoke my ass.
I get it.
Capable, understanding how was probably the bigger of the backbone for me. It was, I knew how the process worked, which helps you understand, but I always had a passion for cars and I just couldn't get away from it. I mean, I worked for Cumberland Farms as a gas station attendant. I worked in a warehouse, CarQuest Auto Parts. I was the lot kid at Stevens Auto Mall. I was a mechanic for Crowley Volkswagen. I worked in a body shop for Plymouth Auto. I couldn't escape it if I tried. Hell, I went to work for a construction company, just being their gopher bitch. And after 2 months of that and almost falling off a roof on a condo, that's right, Rob. I damn near went off a roof in the middle of February because it was covered in snow and ice, and the 2x that were walking on started sliding out from underneath me. So where am I next day? I'm back in the owner's shop restoring his 1977 F-350 flatbed. I was like, I'm okay with this. I'm warm, I'm inside, and I'm happy. And I'm doing something that I relatively knew how to do. Like, grind this down, replace the rot panels, pour 51, the whole thing, sand it down, and blast that thing old school green. So, and then when I got done, he handed me another car. It was his girlfriend's Cavalier. His girlfriend was my cousin, so that's how I kept my job. But I knew enough to be dangerous, but I wasn't like, I'll never sit there and claim that I restored cars. I get it. Fun having my hands in it.
Right. So you could probably understand then, like coming from a collision point of view to going to a place like MTE, and like Stephen was talking about picking up hammers and just trying them all out.
Yeah.
Kind of seeing what you're getting the feel for, what you need, because collision style hammers are totally different than PDR.
It's a wooden hammer. They're all the same.
Yeah.
Your handles are exactly the same from Snap-on to Matco to trying to think what the other one that was Martin's.
Yeah.
I grew up on Martin hammers because back in
they're good.
In my old age, they were the shit, and they weren't Snap-on prices.
Yeah.
I've got a Martin hammer. It's what my low pro hammer, that like Dent Slayer put out their low pro.
Yeah, the back body chopped off.
Mine is Martin. Yeah, so it's a great hammer.
I've got
the Snap-on hammers are great.
I've got 2 Martin pick hammers in the bottom of my red pack out.
Yep.
Just because they've been with me forever. One of them was actually filed down because when I got it, the old school body guy took a look at it and he goes, "Hey, new hammers ain't shit. Ain't even flat." So he put it in a vise and put a file to it and just started filing the thing down until he thought it was flat, and then we sanded the thing smooth. So, which is really weird because I have been requesting somebody to make a metal tip that was that. And there's not a metal tip on the market for PDR. Anybody listening that's not flat. They all have a slight dome to them. So when you start hitting, You get the divots because they're not flat.
I got one for you.
Oh yeah,
Camauto.
you got one.
Baby.
Well, I guess that would make sense for him.
Yeah, because
So-
it's all from body. It's body work.
But is it a tip or is it an actual hammer?
It's a tip
Okay.
for his body hammer. It's in my pack out. I'll show it to you on Friday.
Cool.
Yeah, it's totally flat. It's actually got two of them. The one's just weighs more than the other. So
Nice.
It's actually kind of a nice setup. I'd say that Camauto hammer is a nice hammer. It's one of the few hammers where if it's closer than my snap-on hammers,
Yep.
I'm gonna grab it. It's because it's good. Nothing else I can say that about. Nothing else. I mean, I picked up. I've had coworkers have pretty much every other brand of body hammer, and a bunch of them will cheap out. Amazon, Harbor Freight, this or that, and I just pick. This is a horrible hammer. like the top is too heavy or big or something.
I'm going to address Daniel Kraus. Hey, Kraus, we know you got a flat tip. Your mom told us.
Oh, wow. You're talking about for a collision repair, though, right?
No, I'm talking about the screw-on tips that would go on a blending hammer that was just flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're talking about, but Stefan was referring to picking up the Camauto hammer in collision.
Yep. So. No, I'm talking about using it in collision. I don't really use it in PDR unless it's to hit a knockdown. I'm different than you. You use tools other than Harbor Freight ones. Yes,
guy that makes the most money and spends the least. God damn it.
I mean, we all have our opinions and everything. I actually don't think that flat tip hammer is going to work well in PDR at all. But it's to each their own. If you can make it work great for you, then that's great. And maybe I'm wrong. But it's I would worry about the edges. Yeah, that's fine. I'd worry about the edges of the tip catching the panel, before the flat part does. And I think that's why I like the convex of a body hammer. But I don't. You are right. It does make divots when you hit it. I mean, it's the whole concept of a blending hammer blew my mind for a long time.
I mean, if you want a flat tip, just straight flat, just get a roll pin punch and polish it. That's what I used to do.
Yeah, he's talking about like an actual body hammer size.
1 inch round.
Yeah.
Right. Round.
Okay.
Flat. Yeah, like the Camauto. Like the Camauto tip. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, the one that comes. Yeah, I got you now.
Yeah.
You bring it Friday. I'll show you.
I bring it's already in there. I don't have the hammer. I have the tips though.
You sure it's in there? Because I saw the back of your car. You sent me a picture today. There wasn't nothing in there.
Oh no! Right now the tools are in the body shop. Thursday night they get loaded into the car. I'm still working in the body shop Monday through Thursday.
Jobs. Absolutely, Alex. You can never have too many tools because you never know what the job is going to be.
Right.
So, and that's really the whole purpose of having them all is there's the right tool for the right job, and then there's making do.
Just because we're on the topic of tools, I'm going to jump out of the timeline thing here and ask you: is there any tool that you have at the moment that is your favorite tool? It could be something you had from the beginning, or it could be something you just picked up. Something that stands out that you really like. It doesn't have to be your favorite.
I'm just trying to think of what I use daily that would be I'd be at a loss without.
All right.
I mean, this kind of really jumps back to
just soak it in cider. Sorry. I don't know what Danny's saying.
I'm not sure Danny knows what Danny's saying. What comment is he referring to?
I don't know.
You got to tell us what you're talking about.
leave the pickle alone.
Oh, Rob's got it. That's a whole other story.
I don't know that there's. I'd say the one tool I'd be lost without, and it's really going to date me because it's a dent gear tool and it's the CB24. And if you know, you know, and if you don't, I'm sorry because they don't make it anymore. They're gone, and Dentcraft has refused to remake the tool. So, A1, I'm sending you a diagram. We're going to bring it back because I want it with the Gorilla handle on it anyway.
What is the name
Um,
of it?
It's a CB24. So it's called the Claw 24. It's a double bend. It had a rounded tip, but I broke the tip, so I since shaved it down and filed it, and now it's a pointy tip, and it works really well on aluminum. So thus, I wouldn't be crossing any contracts because it is not the same tool anymore, right?
Right.
If anybody puts this
Sure.
out, I will hunt you down and find you.
Sure.
Don't be afraid to say DWBB. Yeah, it should be the ZVBB now. Jean. So Jeff Robinson, Kyle Violet, and myself were talking about a tool, and we came up with the design of a BB tipped style door tool that would be, ratcheting handle, interchangeable. Put a red cap on it if need be, and I brought it to A1. It gets made. They make a bunch of them. Does pretty well. It's called the DWBB. Dent Wizard, Dave White, your call. I don't care. It works. So Jean goes to MTE and literally goes, "Ooh, I like this." Sorry, Jean, bad accent, but fuck it. He's like, "I like this," and he goes into the Dent Olympics and proceeds to win with the DWBB. Now it comes with the handle that has his autograph on it because it's
Jean. Okay, because that's the tool Jean just shared on his Facebook not too long. I was looking at it going,
Yeah.
man, that looks a lot like the tool David was
with my royalties.
I have, so I thought those longer BB tip tools were called Ford tools. Or is that a little
So
different?
the old original Ford tool was the wrist breaker because it was a triangular handle and then it would come down and loop and there was no tip on it. The original one was rounded and shaved just slightly on the side so that it would tuck in certain areas. So that's the original Ford tool. I can show you that on Friday because Bryce Kelly had just showed one that was a very, very similar duplicate to it. And I was like, man, I've seen that somewhere before. And I took a video of, I've got a original. Nobody's listening, right?
No.
No, Wizard. You can't have
Nobody
it back.
at
It's
all.
discontinued. So yeah, I took a video of it and I sent it to Bryce and I said, hey, I've seen that tool before. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, that's the original Ford tool from Dent Wizard. So it's kind of cool. It's cool to see somebody that was bringing it back. Yeah, the wrist and elbow breaker for sure.
Interesting. So Vince says they're available in the tequila line. I bought something
Correct.
in the tequila line that is like the Ford tool, but it's a hub style, so I could
Yes.
put it on one of my handles.
So A1 makes their version, the DWBB. There's a short and a long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Manson has a short and a long with a Vince. You may have to correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's a longer kick, and the diameter of the tool is just a little bit thicker. And it's their it's their door tools, and they are. Let me tell you something. You want stout? They're pretty goddamn stout.
I love it.
So
I've only got the one, and I actually bought it because I used a bunch of BB tip tools and your shop while training with you.
right.
Yeah.
So
No, they're very handy. So
and Jeff says you're sponsored by Newton.
Newton.
Yeah. Right.
Only Jeff thinks of food.
Huh?
That's why my mom doesn't call him back.
That was my first thought.
Yeah, it was mine too.
Big Newtons
Original
Or five
Jeremy
original.
or blue handled?
in my scrap pile.
Because if
Brandon
they're blue
says
handled,
hello.
they're not the originals. The originals were never designed to hold on to a cap, which was the second coming of them. The original was a rounded with just a slight shave on the side.
Mhm.
Hello there, Brandon.
Oh, kind of like
Rick and Raymond.
what's that? The Kratos.
That's the one
It's
that
kinda
Bryce
like
Kelly was just showing. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
exactly like that.
Mhm.
So I've been meaning to pick up the Kratos because that
Those
looks
look like
a
some
great
nice
tool.
tools.
The
Yeah,
But I
only
do use
the
the
only
BB tip
request I
one.
would have of that tool is to make it bendable, and that goes back to what Dent Wizard had over everybody was they could make their tools bend, which is why you only needed a dozen.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Well, speaking of Dent Wizard, how'd you get hooked up with them?
a lot of Crown and Coke one night.
Oh, wow.
Whoa,
So no,
this is Connecticut. but-
Hookers and blow. I was chasing Hale.
Yeah.
Mhm. Hmm.
Sorry, you guys haven't been around long enough for that joke, I guess. But
No.
the oh shit, I don't know where I was or what I was doing. I was in some dead end ass job and reading the Hartford Current for help wanted ad because there was no internet. Um, yes, me and Dirt are the same age. And there was a help wanted ad that was basically aftermarket automotive company, will train, no experience required, send resume here. That was it.
Huh.
It's literally the ad. I was like,
Interesting.
I like cars. I like aftermarket stuff. Cool. Filled out a resume, sent it in, and literally like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months later, I got a phone call about 8 o'clock at night. Hi. Talked to the guy that was one of the 3 franchise owners for the Northeast. We talked for a good 45 minutes. He really didn't tell me a whole lot other than at the end of it, he wanted me to meet the local manager. Local manager was Tony Massimino. He calls me up. I meet him in Orange, Connecticut at a place called the Crocodile Cafe. We start drinking Crown and Cokes. We're both car guys. I know I'm going to catch shit for this, but we're both Mustang guys. And he had an old Mustang Shelby Cobra, and I've had my Mustang. I had a Mach 1 and so on. And so we just kind of talked all about that for, I don't know, a good 2 hours. And I looked and I go, so what's the job? And he goes, we fix dents in cars. You want a job? I'm like, what do I got to do? And he goes, you got to go to St. Louis for training for 2 months. We pay for it. Don't worry about it. I said, when do I go? And he goes, well, today's Tuesday. You'd have to be there for Monday. Okay. Then I mean, 23, 4, whatever the hell I was like, I got nothing going on here.
Yeah.
So got in the car.
Stevie
and drove
D
to St.
says
Louis.
hello.
Who?
Stevie D.
I don't know who that is.
Steve.
Is that the transgender guy?
Steve Dyke. He actually said Truck Stop Dave is a real crowd pleaser, but
Oh, wow.
It started with him.
Yeah. He was the first customer, huh?
Sounds about right.
So
he's-
going down to your training and stuff, you've seen the trainings like we have nowadays and stuff. They kind of like progressed a little bit, but was it kind of the same, or are we looking at improvements or?
So the argument is generally, I shouldn't say there's much of an argument. Denton Wizard has basically always had the best introductory training to get people in the PDR. It was the most extensive, the most detailed. Some of it is partially done to abide by a contract so that they can uphold their contract. The training has not changed, to my knowledge, a whole lot for basic. They might be sped up a little bit because I believe they added a little bit more of the glue, which was non-existent when I was there 28 years ago. It's still an 8-week course. It's still a pass or fail. There's still a test at the end of every week that you have to stay above the line to keep yourself from going home early. The only fluctuation has been trainers. We let it slide. We let it slide. We don't let it slide. We let it slide. We need guys. We don't need guys. We need guys. We don't need. That's about the only variation I see. The place that it started to, well, I shouldn't even say we had advanced training way back in the day because that was your senior training, your master class, then your 4-star class. So we had some advanced training to get you to fix bigger, nastier stuff, but it definitely got to a point where bigger and nastier wasn't even on our radar anymore because it had gotten so your Sal Contreras, your Bryce Kellys, your Matt Boyettes, these guys that were just pushing the envelope. And the other issue that we had working for the Wiz was tools. Our tools hadn't changed in 17 years. We still had guys working with a camper light that you plugged into a cigarette lighter. Meanwhile, James Lee is out there running around. Everybody's got a limit dent. We're supposed to be the leader in PDR. What the fuck is this? You want to call me on my Nokia?
3310, huh?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
but
sure.
That was and a group of us got together and we I'd say we cried loudly enough and we got them to have us up there, and we had a group of 8, and we brought on a Limited. Actually, take that back. None of us brought it. We all fucking thought somebody else was bringing it. We show up to the meeting and nobody had one, and did a 10 p.m. phone call to James Lee and, explain to him the scenario. And that dude, you want to talk about, that's a motherfucker for customer service. He overnighted that thing. And I want to tell you that overnight on a Saturday delivery was more than the light cost.
Oh,
I can imagine.
but it was worth it. It was worth it.
We put it on the car, and there wasn't anybody in the room that went, nah.
Right.
So, in that aspect, he ended up grabbing a Dent Wizard contract where I think they just turned around like, all right, we'll take, 40 of these things or 50 of these things. So I hope he made his money back.
I mean, it sounds like he did.
And he was also, there's another guy, X-Wiz. So he understood what was there.
I actually didn't know that.
Yep. He's X-Wiz. A lot of guys. Carl Stuckey's X-Wiz. So we always say
didn't know that either.
We always say there's like, what is it? The 7 degrees of Dent Wizard. You're either were one, you were trained by one, you're a relative to one. So.
Well, let's test that. Nick, where's your degree of Dent Wizard?
Me.
I don't have anything.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
I guess.
You were trained by one, Stefan.
Yeah,
I was.
Essentially.
I
mean,
yep. And you
2
did the
years was
whole
up.
inverted. Yeah. You did the whole inverted thing where you had me like this.
Yep.
For
Get
2
comfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, as we used to say.
right.
Threw me a white door for a week and then said, okay, now how are your eyes? Yeah.
White is rough,
hard.
especially doing hail work. On a white
I didn't
vehicle.
know until I pushed on that door for a week.
The always never ending argument is white to hide, black will show, right? So if it ain't right, make sure the car's white.
Right.
I struggle
Body tech side.
to see a white car. Yes, that's where it comes from, the body shop. What's up, Gene? I struggle to see white doing PDR. I would much rather work on a black car.
Right, me too.
And people are like, you're crazy, because when you're done, you see everything. And at least when you're done with a white car, if it's a little, you don't see much. I'm like, I still would rather step back, look at a black car and be like, nope, got more. Nope, got more. I can see what I need to see.
Right.
I'm still not very good, but I'm getting there. I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, so I'm getting better.
Yeah, you're getting better. We have Stefan come over and train you.
I hope so.
Yeah, I got you. Don't
He's
worry
coming
about
over Friday. Just ask him all you need to know.
it. Well,
He's my camera guy.
I just thought it wasn't too long ago. I was fixing a dent. I think it was at your place. It was the silver car. It's the 2 dents on the lower thing, and you're like, yeah, don't worry about that one. We can't really get behind it and everything. So, but worry about this one. So I took care of the one that I could get behind. Took care of it, and then the one they were like, yeah, I told them we'd try, so we're not too concerned with it. So I didn't have anything else to do, so I just kept glue pulling and glue pulling and glue pulling and glue pulling. With the light on it, it was like, but then you're like, oh, he's here to pick up. I'm like, okay, let me just knock down this high spot. Knocked it down, took the light off of it, and it's like, it looks perfect.
Put it outside, down low.
Because it was silver. I mean, it looked perfect. Guy was like, oh, you got it out. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did.
This guy
I didn't
right
even
here.
know.
This guy right here.
Yeah, oops. But yeah, I mean, it just shows you what you can see, depending on the color of the vehicle, for sure.
There's times I beat myself up in the shop, and I'm and it's an improved. I'm one of those guys. I'll sell improves because A, the customer doesn't want it painted. B, it's beyond what really we should be doing, or the customer just is, hey, look, I got $500, and I'm like, all right, I'll give you an hour or two. And sometimes I work on those for 3 or 4 because you just can't. Sometimes you have a hard time letting it go, even though you're not getting paid anymore. You're like, it's still my name on it, but you got to draw the line. And I'm a believer that you do the job that you get paid to do. We're here to make money. We're not here to turn things away just because you can't make things 100%. If you don't agree with me, I don't care. You know, it's not about making everything perfect and being that guy every time. Don't let Bryce Kelly fool you. He doesn't fix everything.
Talk to him
deny
in
it till he
person.
dies,
He'll let
but-
you know.
He'll deny it till he dies, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm the
No, it's-
Gene. I'm going to use Gene's theory. Gene's delivery those just can't help. I always Gene said this
Yep.
best, and he made it make the most sense. He said one day, and he goes, "I used the protractor theory," and I go, "The fuck is that?"
Oh
Mind you,
yeah.
I've got an 8th grade education. He goes, when they go, well, when I tell you it's going to be, you know, they got X amount of dollars, and go, well, where do you want it to look good? When you're standing here, when you're standing here, or when you're standing here? Well, I want to be about right here. If it looked good when I'm standing here, I'd be okay with that. I would call that about 70%, $500. If you
Yep.
stand over here, you're still going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to that effect, Gene's got that information as a course available on his Auto Appearance Institute website. So you can take the protractor close course. It's only like 15 minutes long, and it could help you make a whole lot more money capturing jobs that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah,
Yep, good old
was a-
protractor close.
it's a good selling point. It really is.
I used it on.
I just threw that softball right to you, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
You did. That was a very good opening right there. The
Gene,
think
my
it was on
address is
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he took care of you. Don't worry. I used it on Saturday on a fender. I mean, the thing, it was just caved in right on the edge, and I'm like, listen, I can get it looking really good. I said that your price from over here is going to be a lot more from right here.
Mhm.
And you're trying to sell this car, so I think you're going to want this price point. And he's like, yeah, I want that. And then at the end, you know, I'd still got it out. I mean, he couldn't find anything, you know. So I mean, it's then we're getting back to somebody else's. Brandon here always said, and I know he's not the only one. It's just he's the one that I picked it up from. He says under promise or over
Under-promise,
over deliver.
Yep.
Right. So to let them know that you think you can only get to this point, but then you get to that point, give it another hour, you know, or
Right.
whatever. And
Just be real with your customers.
Amaze
That's
them.
all you have to do.
yeah,
90% of the
absolutely.
time, if I'm looking at something that has questionable areas, dog legs, body lines, wheel wells, you know, wheel arches,
Mhm.
you know,
panel
where the,
edges.
yeah, I will sit there and I will, if I'm in my head, if I'm thinking 90 or 95, I'm telling that customer 85 to 90.
Right.
And I said, look, I'm not saying it won't be more. I'm just saying this is the level of which I'm saying it's going to at least be.
Yeah.
Right.
And you'd be surprised how many customers look at you like, I appreciate that. I said, I'm just trying to be transparent. Like this is where I absolutely think I can get it to, but I'm going for, you know, as much as I can
Right.
possibly get.
Right.
So-
And that protractor close is good for then when they go, well, what does 80% look like? You know,
Right.
and then you say, well, stand over here, you might see something. So that's
Yep.
that's really that's where I really use that.
Yeah.
Hey, Dwayne, what's going on, man?
Dwayne's
What's
killing it.
happening? I don't know. What is happening?
Tad's got to bounce. Have a good evening, Tad. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah. See you, buddy.
Damn it, Ted. Past your bedtime.
It's past my bedtime. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
I heard he was catching up on the Goonies episode. He's never seen it.
Huh?
I've never
The
seen it.
Goonies.
He's
Yeah.
never seen the Goonies.
Nick, you haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen it. I don't, whatever.
He's seen Charlotte's Web in person.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I was there. I was there for that.
I don't think he even gets that joke.
I don't.
Honestly.
Charlotte's Web is a
Don't
spider
worry
that
about
spun a spider web in a pig pen, and the Charlotte
Oh,
was a
okay.
spider.
So
and-
we're not talking about an alternate meaning. Yeah.
nope. I was just slamming a farm reference for you, but
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
apparently your parents didn't give you any books when you were a kid.
No, I didn't have any. I was an
Lots of
outside
farm
kid.
work. Lots of farm.
What were books anyway? What do those things do?
Oh, you swipe right.
Yeah. Right.
yeah. Yeah. That's
Only right though.
the physical swipe.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Dent Wizard, we got through Dent Wizard. Let's talk about how you got into doing your own thing. So what made you make that decision, and and how did that come about? Like, what were the first steps?
What made the decision, or what was my first step?
I'm going.
All right.
Tell a story here.
The story to be told of why I left the Wiz was really I'm old.
Pat.
Right.
I was really tired of being outside, working outside, freezing in the winter. Sorry, baby kitty burp. Freezing outside in the winter, sweating outside in the summer, and just, man, I was just really tired of the same old door kicking at the dealers. And I could do it with my eyes closed. I didn't even have to think about it. It was guaranteed. Just, I could make this money every day, all day, every year. I knew what I was going to make. I was a little bit tired of upper management dictating what I could charge. There was a constant battle with them trying to garnish more of the account, whether it was adding paint or wheels or interior or keys or something, which always meant a drop in my nugget because, well, you take New Country, for example. Well, if we're going to give you all these services, we want better pricing. Well, that means we're going to bring in the wheel guy, and the dent guy has to take just a little bit less.
Yeah.
And their answer was always like, let's fix another dent. Because I'm leaving them behind. I don't know what to tell you here.
Yeah.
So that was one of those things that was always just eating away at me. It was like, how many more of these? How many more of these am I going to let it go? We had a retail shop. They have a retail shop in Hartford, and it was not profitable. It barely broke even from what I understood. And the guy that was running it, his name was Dick. And he was every ounce of his name. The problem I had with him was the accounts he serviced were also my accounts. So I would walk into my account and they would be motherfucking the retail shop for the paint work they did. And of course, I'm taking an earful. Or, hey, we got this dent in this car and it needs to go. It's a delivery, yada, yada. I show up and I'm trying to fix a dent. And they're like, yeah, it was at the retail shop and they were supposed to fix this down there. Okay. So you know what I'm doing here? I'm doing this for free just to try to clear our name. Meanwhile, it was an emergency. Go do it. It should have been, $100-$150 for the delivery service. And then I'm looking at it, of course, before I opened my mouth. Thank God she told me this, because I'm looking at the bumper and I'm looking at the fender and I'm like, who painted this? Helen Keller? It's not even the right color. So when I called Dick and I asked him about him, he goes, well, if they don't like it, they can send it back. That was his answer for everything. He painted it once, didn't care what it looked like, and sent it. So I bitched and said he needed to go. And then they said, well, we would need to replace him. And I'm like, let me take over the shop because I think I can do a better job. Plus I can fix the dents. We don't have a permanent dent guy in there. The dents are coming in and leaving because they don't have somebody there. So you're losing sales. Like you need a full-time guy there, and you need somebody that understands paint, and you need somebody that understands the dents and can talk to people. Thought I had something worked out, and then they got rid of Dick, and I thought, ooh, I'm in. Had a conversation that night. We kind of rounded out a number that I said I would take it just to get my ass in there.
Yeah.
And once the shop was making money, I figured I'd be able to go back and be like, pay me.
Right.
And instead they promoted the $17 an hour chick.
Yeah.
I found that out the next morning from one of the guys that worked there and said, yeah, they just promoted Cassie from basically secretary to running the shop. And
was it had anything to do with the fact that you were so good in your position they didn't want to lose you in your position?
No, they told me it was a lateral move and that they really saw bigger things for me, like district manager and so on and so forth, which I wanted no part of.
Oh, so they were blowing smoke up your skirt a little bit.
Well, I mean, for fairness of this, Michael Fedorowicz was my RVP. He had been moving up the chain quite readily, and he did take me, hindsight 2020, looking back, I really didn't pay attention to how much he put me under his wing and how much slack he gave me and how much he put me in a position to learn how to make these moves. But by the time we got around to having that conversation, it was too late. I went home that day, pretty much slammed my phone into the ground, destroyed the company phone, had to piece it back together, a little super glue. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I came home and it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. And my wife looked at me and she's just like, why are you here? And I was just like, fuck everybody, fuck everything. And she said to me, she goes, I think maybe it's time you leave. And I said, and what does a guy that barely made it out of high school do that's going to allow me to make the money I was making? And not that I'll put a dollar on it, but for a guy that barely got out of high school, has zero college education, I did okay. And she goes, maybe it's time you go on your own. Now, 5 years prior to that, I had said something about me going on my own, and she looked at me and she goes, yeah, like hell. So this was a very different version of her, and I think it might have had something to do with me introducing to her to Daniel Grom and Ian Cordell when we were out in California, and she got to see two guys that never had anything to do with Dent Wizard, were highly successful. Ian Cordell was trying to get me to move to Santa Rosa, or not Santa Rosa, Napa, because he was looking for a road guy. And I said, yeah, I don't want to be on the road.
Right.
But that inadvertently turned me into, I gave my notice. And when I gave my notice, that's when Michael called me back. And he's like, I don't think I was listening when we talked last. And I said, can't change it now. Everything's in motion.
It's done. Yeah.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate my time here. I appreciate everything you guys have done. I mean, it was 23 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and somewhere in the middle of it, I gotta be careful how I say this because I got years. I went through a divorce. And with that, I essentially lost everything.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, I came back home. I was living with mom, which is a horrible place to be when you're in your 30s. Had zero. I mean, absolutely zero. I bought $300 worth of tools off of eBay, and I was just trying to make a buck. I was this close to being the parking lot gypsy, except I'd be able to fix something.
Right.
Yeah, sounds horrible, but $50 is $50, bro.
Right.
I get it.
He called me up and he got me to come into the office, and he basically gave me the ultimatum of like, you either come back to work for us or I'm going to sue your pants off you. And I said, well, shit, it's the last pair I got. So, he brought me right back, and it was a leave of absence. They didn't hurt me. They just basically said, just come back. You've only been gone for a couple of months. We understand the scenario, the situation you went through, everything. Let's just get you back to work. And he immediately put me on a hail job down in Tennessee. So I said, man, I got no tools and I got no money. They fronted me $2,000 and sent me all my tools down to Tennessee to meet me there. So I don't have bad blood for the company. I always like to say I outgrew the fishbowl. What he wanted from me, I wasn't interested in doing because it required me to relocate. My wife is here. She has a great job. All her family's here. She's not leaving. My kids were young. They have established roots here. All their friends are here. I wasn't going to relocate them. I wasn't going to do that to them. And the idea of actually being able to own my own company, make my own decisions, reap what I sow, or fall flat on my face, they were mine. They weren't on somebody else. So if I failed somewhere, it was all on me. So that takes us to the transition of Connecticut Dent Works. And I went on the road, and my wife says, so what's the plan? I said, the plan is one job every day. She goes, that's it? I said, well, if the average job is $300 times 5, that's $1,500 times 4, $6,000 a month. She's like, now that you put it that way.
Doesn't sound too bad.
That's good start out money. I said, if I get one job, I'm in front of somebody. I do a good job, they tell somebody. And it was 2020, so it was COVID, so everybody was home. And the people that were at work, it's kind of like it was very easy. You know, hey, I'll be out in your area on Thursday. Whatever. I work from home. Anytime you're in the area, just call me and I'm here. So just whenever.
Oh, that makes
So
it
9
super.
a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m. They didn't care. You know,
That's
people
awesome.
that were at work, I go to their work, sit in their Fort parking lot, and the lady would come, you know, I did one job in Hartford. It was a state building. Lady comes out and she goes, everybody upstairs is watching you. They all wanted to know what you were doing in my car. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Well, 10 minutes later, a guy walks out and he goes, can you look at my car? I end up fixing like 5 cars.
Yep.
But that's what it is you need to find the one to get the next one, to get that name going. And having worked for Dent Wizard for 23 years, I had a little bit of I would say I had a reputation already. People knew who I was. I did a ton of body shops. I had a bunch of friends in the automotive industries. So it was, you know, hey, call my buddy Dave, call my buddy Dave, call my buddy Dave. So it was a pretty easy transition for me.
Okay.
You know, I can't say that it's the same for everybody, but most of the guys that I know that have left have been able to make the transition out and do okay. I said, you know, at the end of the day, it's just a dent, just
Right.
a car.
And you collected all your people skills and socialized, and you know how to sell the dent already. You don't have to practice that. And
Big deal.
It is, and I'll tell you the biggest. Everybody has a way of selling themselves. I sell myself by not selling myself.
Right.
I literally will talk to you about your car. I will give you a price, and I know it sounds horrible, but I have 0 fucks if you say yes or no. I want you to say yes, but I am not going to try to persuade you. I am not going to discount for you. I am not going to tell you all the reasons in the world why you should. I'm going to answer all your questions. And if you ask for something, I'm going to give you an answer. If you want an opinion, I'll give you an opinion. You know, if I got to do this fast, right? Because I shouldn't let it stay in the metal because then it'll be harder to fix. No, ma'am, you can call me in 5 years and I'll still fix it the exact same way. Price is probably going to go up to inflation.
Right.
You know, be real with people. Be honest with people.
Honesty. Yes.
Don't push them. I write every estimate in Mobile Tech RX and I text it to them as I'm telling them what the number is with tax. Hey, you're, you know, so all in with tax, you're $532.62. And I just shot it to you as a text message. So, you know, if it's something you'd like to do, we can schedule you today. If you want to think about it, please feel free to go home and think about it. If you get any questions between now and then, call me. You want to price shop me? Go ahead. I said, I'm not the cheapest. I'm not going to be the expensive. My goal is just to be fair and honest. And most people get that. So I'm not, you know, I don't want to push anybody to do anything.
People definitely want an honest. The other thing I found is using the app right in front of them, whether you use DentMate or Mobile Tech RX or whatever, or even if you're just using a matrix, get it out in front of them and show them, listen, your dent is this big and it's made of this metal and these factors. And this is what the price comes out to.
Right.
And especially when it's a larger thing.
It's the enemy. The enemy is the app.
Right. So you're bringing it up and like, look, I'm going to put it in. It's a 10-inch dent and I have the glue pull and it's on a body line. It's over $1,000. I said, I can.
Well, before that, it was like
better.
$500.
Right. Exactly.
How'd you get that number?
I don't know.
And then
right.
Just ripping them off, you know, because and then especially if they say, oh, that's too much, and you say, oh, what about 300? And it's like, well, if you could go down for 300, what was the $500 deal? They're not going to recommend you to anybody now, you know. So using the app, even if you're not going off of it, you know, if you're using it as a guide and you're giving them a better deal than that, whether it be based on your experience level or what have you.
There are definitely times where I punch in the logistics of the dent. So today is a perfect example. I had a repeat customer, super sweetheart of a lady. Go back to the first word I said, repeat customer. She got in a little fender bender in the parking lot. Wasn't bad. I'm punching it into the system as it is. Body line, edge, size. It's like $700. It's a Subaru Forester front fender that's gapingly open once you pull that liner back.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I am literally going to spend 30 minutes on this car. How do I adjust this?
Right.
Took the depth, moved it to shallow. Took the body line, moved it down to 25%. I put it into a number that in my head, I went, I'm good with the number. I will still profit.
Mhm.
She will be okay with the number because it's not going to crush her. She's already told me that her and the other person decided to just go separate ways and take care of their own problem because it wasn't that big.
Mhm.
So I don't want to hurt her. I want her to be a repeat customer, and I want her to tell more people.
Right.
Charlie.
Charlie.
What's up, Charles?
So, and I think I was able to work down like 200 bucks off of it. And again, if I can do that car for $400 or $500 and I'm in and out of it in 45 minutes or less, we all
Right.
win.
Yep.
Right.
100%. It's
So,
I've been really enjoying using the apps as a guide. It really helps. I mean, when I find when I spit out the number, I get a lot less engagement or whatever jobs than if I use the app and I show them. And then the Google reviews even show it. That's how I learned it, actually, because after using the app, I was just using it as a selling tool. But then I got all these Google reviews that said, "Oh, he was really, really transparent about the pricing and everything." I'm like, "Oh, they care about that." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I would care about that."
Mhm.
So it's hard
How'd
to
you
put
get to
yourself
that
in the
number?
customer's shoes,
you know,
right? Exactly.
people call me all the time and catch me on a bad day when I'm busy and the phone's been ringing off the hook, man. I'll give you some smart ass answers. I just curious, what do you get for a dent? I don't know. What do you get to build a house?
Money.
Guys are like, what do you mean? I'm like, what's the car? How big's the dent? How sharp is it? Where is it located? How much access do I have? What is it, aluminum or steel? Is there paint damage or not? And he goes, yeah, it probably helps if you see it, huh? And I go, you think?
Yeah. Right. Right.
So, most
I
of
love
us I
it
try
when
not to
people-
be that guy, but
Hey, no, it's fine. I mean, I've been tempted myself. I mean, because I get people, I'm like, well, sometimes I'll give a range based off of photos, and I'll give a
Right.
range on price, and then they want to lock in a price before I even see it, and it's like, listen, it's not just an arbitrary number,
Right.
like this is something that I have to look and I have to calculate. And it's and when they come in and they want to just discount, I want to be like, listen, what do you do for a living? Do you want your boss to pay you less this week for the same amount of work?
right.
No? Oh, same
Chris.
here. Like well, the price is the price.
Yeah.
But I don't go that far, but it's tempting. Maybe someday.
No, and these guys that sit there and they tout, and I, listen, everybody has their way. Everybody has to do their own business. These guys that get some outrageous numbers. I mean, I look at them and I go,
I see.
break that down for me, because even I can't figure out how you got to $1,700 on a $350 dent.
3-inch dent, right?
Like, oh, it's aluminum, it's behind the brace, it's on a body line, it's
I even
pearl
know the
white,
exact
it's this, it's that. I'm like, you know what I
type of the
don't
dent you're
want?
talking about.
I don't want an insurance claim. I don't want it. Forget the customer. I don't want it because I don't want to deal with Allstate, State Farm, farmers walking in and,
Pain.
oh, how did you come up with that number? And what's your hourly rate? And what's the damage? What's your paint material? Look, I don't have paint material. You see the sign up front said paintless. Like,
Right.
but they don't have any concept of that. And all that does is drag out the time the car is going to be there, and it wastes more of my time. So if I can get 500 for something, or you're going to get me 1,000, you can double my money, but I got to call the insurance company. I'll take the 500. Sorry to everybody I just pissed off. But
No.
that car is
It's a
now
different
going to
business
show up at my
model.
shop on Monday morning. It's going to get parked at 9 a.m. You know when that adjuster is going to show up? Probably Thursday.
Probably.
Right.
For a car that could have been out by noon.
Right.
So now it's on me to bring that car in and out every night. I got to deal with the adjuster. I'm probably going to have to send him a preliminary estimate that he's then going to want to come in and see, take pictures, leave, send me a supplement. Then I'm going to wait a week for a check. Fuck that. The only time I want to see an adjuster is if it's a mail car.
Right.
Yeah. You need a full staff for that kind of stuff. You need a customer representative. You need somebody to just deal with the insurance company, which could be the customer person. It's just you need a full up and running shop. You can't be doing everything yourself and do everything insurance. There's just no way.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much the reason when I got into body work, I thought I wanted to own a body shop. And the more I learned about dealing with insurance companies, the more I was like, yeah, I don't want a body shop.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. If I can avoid the insurance companies for a smaller ticket, that's fine. So I'm with you, except for Hale.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Hale's a different game. That's a whole nother.
Yeah,
Dr.
totally
Croft will
different.
call you when that shit's done. Then I
Matt-
call people
Matt
up and I
Myers
go, "How much do you
agrees.
want to fix this car?" Exactly, Matt. So
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. So I get it.
I don't. Like I said, everybody runs their business their own way. If you're all making money, who cares? And I got a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys in the state that are all independent these days, and we pretty much, I'd say, we all try to work together and bounce things off each other, or send people out for jobs that one can't do or another can. Or
I love that. It's so awesome.
I do that
There's a
around this
few
area.
outliers.
I mean, if somebody's I know's down below me doing Hale work or up in the Tennessee area somewhere, I mean, if I got customers in Tennessee, so if I can't get to them, hey, I got this den over here. If you're interested in it, hey, there you go.
Yep.
Hook them up for me. So,
yeah, I got Danny Espinal down in Southern Connecticut. I've got James Garnett in the middle of like North Haven area. That doesn't mean shit to you, Nick, but that's kind of, he's about 45 minutes south of me, or he's not that far anymore, but that's kind of the area that he's catering to. I got guys north of me, and then I've got the local guys around me that just do the stuff that's like, hey, are you mobile? I'm not. I'm like, where are you located? And I'll dish it out. I'm in Connecticut, Dwayne, but it's easy. What surprises me is I've actually had a customer give me a Facebook or a Google review just on the fact that I forwarded them on to somebody else that could take care of them.
Nice.
He's like, that's really wild. You'll give out a competitor's name?
Actually,
I said, if I didn't drink beer with him on a weekly basis, I wouldn't give him to you. But he's in your neck of the woods, or he's mobile, or he's exactly what you need is somebody to come to you because the car doesn't, isn't registered, isn't insured, doesn't run. You got 5 of them. I would much rather have all your cars.
Right.
But if you're not coming to me, well, let me give you the right guy that can handle the job. People are usually blown away by that.
Absolutely.
The other aspect of that is having body shops in your back pocket. Guy shows up with a 2025 Range Rover and you can't fix it. Where's he going to go? I've got a guy. I got a 2019 Honda Accord. Where's he going to go? That's a different guy.
Yeah. A lot of areas are our area, not so much, but a lot of areas have mobile painters that do pretty good work too. So having one of those in our area, not so much. All the mobile guys are kind of.
That's what
what
I do. Like what Matt said. I mean, I look out for customers if I can.
Yeah,
I will.
They love that, and then the next time they need someone, they'll call you. So
bingo.
Right.
That's the
you
name
help
of the
them
game.
out, and they know that if the best thing is for you to send them someone else, you will. So, that's
I get the
great.
phone call at least every other week. There's somebody that'll call me that's used me. Hey, I don't have another dent, but do you know anybody that does window tint? Hey, do you know anybody that does wheel repair? Hey, do you know,
Right.
You know what? That's as a local small business. Joe Cipriano, Plymouth Auto, was, absolutely, Daniel. He was the guy that I looked at growing up because in Terryville, he was the go-to guy. Everybody went. I would sit there and people would walk in and drop their car off for shit he had nothing to do with, but he would facilitate it. Only because it was his customer, it was his friend, and he knew the guy. And I always saw that and I was like, man, that's awesome. So when I got my shop, that was what I was after. And I tried to house wheel repair and tint and everything else. And I got to the point where I was like, there's too many headaches. And in all honesty, I'm giving up space for not enough money. So the wheel repair, I just kind of, hey, this is where you go. Just go. Window tint, I'll still facilitate it, but what I try to do is I put people on a burner far enough out that I can get 3 or 4 jobs, and then I'll set them up to come in on a day that I know I'm not going to be real busy, so they're not taking up a lot of space, and they can just make a day of it, and I make a couple $100 out of it for my percent, but
Right.
again, try to keep it so that people are calling my shop for whatever.
Right.
So you never know what
Cool,
you're going to
cool.
get. I mean, we do PPF and ceramic and detail. So, they walk in through the door and they go, well, what else do you do? And you tell them, and then they go, well, wait a minute. How much to paint, correct, and ceramic the car?
Right.
Right.
That's my selling point. I don't sell the dents, but I will see a customer come in with a 25 Mercedes black and just be like, ceramic coated? No. Why not?
Right. Yeah.
I'll tell them the benefits.
Going.
It's not that I'm selling it, but I'm selling it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get people coming in? I mean, so from my experience there, most people come to you for dents. Do you get people coming in for ceramic coating PPF without dents?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I've always thought that was a great way to, when you have a brick and mortar shop, to have those services, because people get those done right when they buy the car.
Right.
And
Yeah.
now you've brought them in, you gave them the PPF and the ceramic coat, and a month later they get a dent. Oh,
Kraus,
go back
I'm
to the
just a shop.
They got dent repair at that shop too, and I liked him, so I'm going to go back there. So that's a great method.
So we just had a 2025 Toyota Land Cruiser just dropped off, diamond white. I don't know what edition it is,
Nice.
but it's got all the stuff.
Record it, Chris.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Chris.
Let me know when you do, Chris.
Post that.
I want to check that out for sure. Be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that came in and it started off with a referral. Buddy of mine owns a high-end stereo shop, does all their work. So she called him up for, I think she had either a remote starter or something probably put in along those lines. And she wanted to do, she wanted to spruce it up, if you would, because it was boring. It was white. That's it. So he gave her my number. She called me and she goes, I'm thinking about a black roof. No problem. We're doing black PPF on the roof, which she then expanded to the roof rails and A-pillars. And then she's like, you think there's anything else we can do? Sell, but not sell. Tell her the services that we offer. That's it. I would probably put a good coat of ceramic on it. I said, to give it some protection. I said, if you're really worried about the paint, PPF the nose. Got this really cool headlight tint in now that transitions. It's dark during the day and it's clear at night, like glasses do. And she's like, really? Does it work? And I'm like, I just put it on my wife's car. Yeah, it works pretty cool because it doesn't hinder the light at night. She dropped it off tonight. PPF in black on the roof, full paint correction in ceramic, PPF on the front bumper, and headlight and taillight tint.
Yeah, that's cool.
No dents. And then her friend that picked her up is like, so when can I drop off my SQ8? I need a paint correction and ceramic on that and a couple of dents.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'm just, I want that side to get bigger and better so I can do less dents.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I was trying to hire staff on, but now that he's got my dent shop, he doesn't want to work for anybody else.
Oh, I want my own thing.
It just comes to me for his Google ad money.
Me, yes. Good. David's paying for my Google ads right now. It's working out really well, actually. It's perfect. So back on me. My question is: would you take on other people if they wanted to be trained for PDR?
As long as they don't live near me.
All right. Well, there's your answer.
Cool.
Anybody who was thinking about that?
Yeah. Well,
I would tell you what, you were, I said this to you the other day and you were kind of caught off guard. I would much rather have somebody that's in the collision world to train, because I think like I said to you the other day, your knowledge of metal flow helps you tremendously. Now, in the past, I've also seen that hurt people, and I guess I would say it hurt the right people because they were not metal people. They were Cave and Pave people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They had a hard time learning PDR. You guys, where you guys have the advantages now is Kiko and Cam Auto being in all these shops that guys are actually getting to either see the stuff and at least go, wow, that's cool. And you have some people like yourselves where you dove into it and said, I got to have this. I got to learn this. This is cool. This is cutting edge. This is innovation. This is better for the car.
Right.
So when we had that Q5 or the not Q5, the S5, that white S5 that came in, lower quarter panel damage.
Yep.
I've been at this for 28 years. I looked at you and go, what do you do? And you're like, well, I would put a big Kiko centipede right here and I would pull it from here. And I went, okay. I took that because in my head, I have my way of doing it, but he has his way of doing it.
Oh, so you wouldn't have done that?
I'm not saying I would have definitely put a glue tab there. I don't know that I would put it
Okay.
right where you would have put it.
Ah,
So
Okay.
that was the differentiation of I would have been under or over, and you were, I forget which way it went,
Yeah.
but whatever it
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah.
I'm generally thinking just a hair different.
Yeah.
yeah. I love
You
that.
know, Gene Fetty's move is, it's always strongest, deepest first. And I get that, but sometimes I struggle with where do I think that strongest part might be.
Yeah.
So we put the car on a lift, put it up in the air, and put the tab right where he said it, and pulled, and fucking like, I don't know, what 70% of it, just went, boop.
Yeah,
It was like, sweet. So
I love that sound.
when I get into, when I get collision style stuff that comes in, my co-part that does the PPF is Will. And Will is a collision guy that was dabbling with the Kiko stuff a little bit here and there and was always interested in it. And every time I went to his shop, he'd ask me for, how do I make the glue stick? What would you use here? Is there a better tab system? What's, and he showed me pictures of stuff that he was going to try in the shop one day. And I literally showed up with a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, here. He's like, what's this? I'm like, it's everything you're going to need in this box. And he's like, well, you don't need it? And I'm like, I'm not doing anything like that for the next week. I'll come back and get it next week. Let me know how you make out. So he's generally my go-to confidant of like, dude, it's this big and it's got 3 body lines. It's up against the edge. The gap is
Right.
open between the door and the quarter panel. Where do you pull? And he'll tell me where he would pull in the direction. Sometimes I'm on it. I just need him to tell me that that's the right move. And let's be realistic. If 2 people can agree on doing the same thing, then it's probably the right move.
Probably
If it's not,
right.
if
Yeah.
it's not, we both drink.
Right.
So it's nice
I like
to have that.
I like what you said about Gene's thing because I still use that every single large damage, whether it be in the body shop or PDR. I look at something and go, where am I going to pull? So I go, strongest to weakest, deepest to shallowest. And that's Gene's thing. And it used to be, I used to tell myself, and it's good to have something, it doesn't have to be that, although I suggest it. It used to be first in, last out. So what that means is if it got
Looking for
hit,
the point of impact.
right. So that where it got hit first, that comes out last. So whatever went in last should come out first and you walk the rest out. That doesn't work for everything. So
And that's-
I mean
That's where I
Gene's thing
get
comes in.
right.
Yeah.
So that's where I get caught up is because I'm trying to analyze the impact and do the reverse. Like,
Yeah.
how do I got nothing here to do it, but not everything is straight. It didn't come in straight in. It came in slightly angled or slightly angled or slightly angled. And you have to reverse that out. Not if it went in this way, you don't want to pull this way type of thing.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
where I sometimes start to go, I'll overthink it. Mike Toledo said this once, and I agree with him because I did it without realizing I was doing it. But once it became solidified in my head after hearing him say it, it's much easier to say, I want to look at this dent. I'll take pictures of something that is pretty severe.
Yeah.
Customers will send me the pictures, and what's up, Joshua? And we'll agree that the car's coming in. We'll write the estimate, and then it's going to be an appointment, and it might be 2 weeks out. If I can remember that, oh man, that was a nasty dent I got coming in tomorrow. I'll try to go back and find that customer photo that he originally sent me, so I can look at it the night before, just to kind of have some game plan walking in the morning. Otherwise, you walk in and you just sit down and you stare at it, and next thing you know, it's 10 a.m. and you haven't done anything yet because you're going, I pull it this way, I pull it this way. What am I going to do?
I do that all the time, though.
So, but it does help. I mean, sometimes just sitting there staring at it for 20, 30 minutes is just kind of like all of a sudden it goes, huh, I'm going to go right there.
Fixing it in my head.
Right.
You know, like I'm making a first move, a second move, a third move, you know, and then, okay, like what happens if I make the first move over here?
It's chess, man.
Yeah. Right. And then you get all your game plan going, and then you take the panel off, and then you're like, oh, well, now I got to totally change my whole game plan because I can't get to any of this.
So my phrase used to be, there's no win or lose when you get into some of this stuff. It's win and learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't fix it, did you learn from it?
Right.
God, I hope something. There's a lot of times, but there's been quite a few times where I've looked back at stuff and went, man, I want a do-over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy with the finish.
Yep.
And I think I could definitely do better because I started it this way, and I want to go back and do it again and start it this way now that I've seen this outcome.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we don't get that unless you want to take the 3-pound hammer and put it back in. But one of the first times I met Will, I was doing a Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. The guy just bought it, and it was smacked in the quarter panel, and it was on the wheel edge of the rear quarter. And man, I'm glue pulling it. I must have spent 2 hours glue pulling it, and using the holes for where the flare goes and trying to get behind it, and everything I could possibly do. I packed all my shit up, put it all in the car, and he walks over and casually looks at it, and he goes, "It's not bad." He goes, "Did you see the buckle inside the wheel well?" Nope. Where were you 2 hours ago?
Hold you back. Yeah.
That buckle inside the wheel well was holding everything in. So if I was pulling and doing a little tap on that buckle, it might have released it a little bit, and I would have been in a much better shape, and I would have gotten paid.
There's a lot of people that had problems with that even in a collision shop too. So don't feel bad about that because
they'll just slap more mud on it.
Right. Even pulling with keys or wiggle wire, whatever you're using. If
you don't release that tension, it's not going to go anywhere.
It's not going to go anywhere. No.
Right.
No, I have gotten
fighting you
better over the years. If it's fighting you, look for the resistance, and the resistance doesn't have to be close. That's the thing that I have. If you're struggling with something that's maybe quarter to halfway down the door, and you're looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, you're like, I don't get it. Why is it not wanting to go up? And then you look down the door at the bottom and you realize there's a crown at the bottom of the corner of the door that's literally holding that tension.
Yep.
Joshua, safe flights, man.
Yes, sir.
You're just like, oh, you tap that down and then you go back to that softy, and all of a sudden that soft just moves right up, and you're just like, seriously? Should have had a V8. Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the life of repairing cars, man.
I can't tell you how many times it's happened to me. So
let me ask you
that's
guys
how
a
you
question.
learn, though.
Let me ask you guys a question here. This is for both of you. So what is your biggest hurdle at the moment?
As far as I would say mine.
It can be anything. It can be admin, it can be estimating, it could be fixing, it could be a particular dent, it could be not finding the right knockdown. I saw him in here earlier, the dent vision. I like that.
Yeah.
That thing's pretty cool. I like that way more than I expected to.
I would say that mine, what I feel like I'm having trouble with personally, is being mobile and having to, like, my span of what I attract because I have several small cities in my area. It's not just like one big city. So I have to travel a good distance in order to gather everybody up. So let's say I have to go to over close to Tennessee and work. It's 50 miles away. I'm having trouble trying to schedule and do everything up here in the timely fashion that I can versus I have to go here one day and then I'll be back in Tupelo, which is 70 miles the other way. So I'm really struggling right now with that, with the mobile part. I feel like I waste a lot of time
So
in that
let me
situation.
let me see if I can understand you just a little bit here. So are you traveling to these places on the same day?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
trying to schedule and as many as I can and travel there in 1 or 2 days, however long it takes.
Okay. So
And
here's my advice.
mm,
Um, I had that before I got my brick and mortar, and it was Old Saybrook for me, and it's 45 minutes away.
mhm,
There's not a lot out there, but it comes in waves, and it's usually a onesie, twosie. And what I am is going back to the honesty and transparency. Hey, listen, I don't get a lot of work out your way. If that happens to be the first call that I've got that's in that direction, I will tell them I am going to schedule you 2 weeks out, preferably on a Friday, because I'll explain that after.
right.
And then within that 2 weeks, I have 2 weeks to hopefully get another phone call that puts me in that vicinity and schedule them for the same thing. And if you are doing this in multiple directions, I would just start feathering them outward so that you can gives you time to build up clientele to be in that area.
Right.
Ma'am, sir, thank you. I'm mobile. I don't get a lot out your way. I'm more than happy to come to you, but I'm going to schedule you out a couple weeks in hopes that I can garnish another job in that area to make the trip valid.
Mhm.
I will come to you no matter what, but just please be patient with me to try to build something up. Otherwise, if you'd like me sooner, it's a $150 trip charge.
Right. And I think
Oh.
I'm at the point now because me scheduling out like that, like you're talking about, people will say, well, I don't know, I'll just find something else, or I'll see if there's a guy up here closer to me that can get to me sooner or something. So I kind of lose out on that. And they're like, and if you add a fee charge like that, they're like, well, so I seem like I'm kind of losing at both ways if I don't or it
Well,
could just
if
be
you
me.
explain it the way David just said, I
Yeah.
mean, and basically let them know that it's just because he's looking for some convenience, and
Right.
you really still don't. I mean, you could offer a third option, and you can come to me, and I can meet you,
Mhm.
halfway, and I'll give you a lawn chair to sit in, and I'll fix your dent, and then you can go on your way. I don't
Right.
know. I just
I'll be in East Buttfuck on Wednesday. It's about halfway between me and you.
Mhm.
right.
Want to meet me
Yeah.
at
Come
Johnny's
meet me.
Cockroach Cafe?
Yeah.
Small
exactly.
damage though is not really a big deal when you're doing that.
No,
So these
it
dents are
just
not
sucks when you got to drive an hour to fix a $150 dent to turn around and drive an hour, because that's 3 hours, $150. You made a 50
right.
bucks an hour.
Right. Well, keep in mind though, I'm not talking about these small door dings. I'm talking about bigger damage, stuff
Yeah.
that you have to actually break out a shrinking box and stuff on. So
I'm not interested at that point when I'm mobile.
right. That's
Kudos,
difficult.
Nick.
Either.
Kudos.
It's difficult. It really
I'm
is.
not either. I was
But
gonna. So sorry, go
I'll
ahead.
do it. I'll do it all day long. I don't care. I'll fix whatever. But it does take a while, and it is a lot more difficult when you pull up your pop-up canopy and you park your trailer beside it and you're like, well, this is where I'm at for the rest of the day. I get my solar powered box down
And
and I'm
that's
sitting
fine
here
if that's a
doing all
day
this.
job.
Right.
Then it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're talking about, $7, $8, $9,000, whatever plus, that's a day job. You're not worried about getting to somebody else. And if you are, you get that dime size dent on the way out
Right.
before you get there, because you don't want to schedule anything after that, because you don't know how long you're going to be there for that. But if you got a smaller dent that you're like, hey, I can be there for 8 a.m. Bing, bang, boom. I'm on my way. You're at the big job, 9:30, 10 o'clock. Now you just set up camp and you're like, all right, I'm here till I'm done. You know, I got my little toddler shitter, so I got a place to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting
Yeah.
one of those.
Right. Right.
I'm getting one of those. I don't care.
Yeah.
What is Matt Myers looking at this way? If you schedule them 2 weeks out because of mileage, what's the difference of being scheduling it's 2 weeks out? I don't know
Yeah.
what you're trying to say.
I mean, I get it if you're booked out 2 weeks and then you schedule them 2 weeks out because of mileage, just the same difference.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there should be 2 weeks booked out anyway, honestly.
I get it.
Chris, you
And-
don't want to get caught up with anything that has hourly. That's my only 2 cents. I don't ever want to talk hours. It's a
gotta
trip
keep that out of
charge.
the
It's a
business.
flat fee, period. Because the
Right.
minute you say you're $125 an hour because of the drive, and you drop a $500 quote and you fix that sucker in an hour,
Mhm.
they're going to be like, "We'll have it to 125."
Right.
You're setting yourself up for possible bad taste in somebody's mouth.
Mhm.
You want to get paid for what you know, not for how long it takes you.
Yep.
That's the old adage. Yeah, a $75 trip charge is more than fair.
Even
1-800
$50
Dent Doc.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys, anybody that is using 1-800 Dent Doc, I'm pretty much the only guy in the state of Connecticut that would take them on. I have zero issues with
Till
them.
tomorrow. Sorry.
Or whatever. Have fun.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, listen, I don't care. I've told everybody to go to MTE to sign up for Dent Doc. But they call me up and they're like, "Oh, we got a customer in Massachusetts and we can't get anybody to go. What will it cost us?" I said, $150 plus the dent. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, yeah, if you just have that charge just laid out, I mean, what can I say? So it is what it is.
Right.
Chris,
You want
you could do by the mile. Sure.
Mhm.
You want me or you don't.
Right.
To answer your question on my aspect, honestly, I'm struggling with finding a wholesale account or two. That's what I
You
struggle
are
with.
in a state that has a Dent Wizard 90% penetration utilization rate.
Right, and none of them want to switch from Dent Wizard. That's what I've noticed. They've all said, "Oh, well, they can't always get here, so when they can't, I'll call you." And that has happened a few times, but they'll call again. It's
Be
like,
the backup guy.
for
Be
now,
the backup
do
guy.
a good job. Try and wow them, and then maybe it happens again, and maybe it happens again, and then they'll go, "Oh, well, why don't we just use you all the time?" And that's that's what I'm really trying to do.
Yep. Be their backup guy. Show up to fix that emergency dent that the other guy didn't do, and then be like, "Listen, I can lower the price on this if you got anything else here that I can fix for you while I'm here."
Right.
Yeah.
Or here's my service fee. It's $150 or $175 to come out for the one.
Mhm.
And I would much rather charge you $65 for this because, go find me a few more cars. And that's how you just kind of, you just keep wedging your foot in the door. And I'm just saying that's what I would do if it was me.
Chris says motorcycle dealers, but you just had that fender last week from the motorcycle dealer. I'm like, I don't really want that.
Yeah, right. I didn't get paid on that.
Chris, these new Harley fenders are like plastic. I mean, they're like not fun.
I was pushing on it, and he was pulling the fender the other way to keep me from folding the thing in half.
I had to hold it, and it was mounted to your actual motorcycle fender kit, and you were pushing on it in the middle of it where it's mounted, and the whole thing just wanted to twist.
Yep.
So
I was
I'm like,
right
if I
next to the
just
mounting
hold it
brackets.
right
And the whole,
here,
if
that's
this is
the
the
only
front of
way.
the fender, it just kept going. Whoop. I said, "Man, this is straight off of Alibaba."
And to make it even better, it was a paint that was chrome.
Oh wow.
So yeah, what do you do with that?
Yep. The paint had a mark in it.
Who
I told him I have to
knows?
wet sand and buff it out. He goes, "You won't do that?" I said, "Not on this thing."
I ain't touching that. Are you kidding? I don't know what's in there.
They may call you now because I haven't heard back from them since I sent it back to him. And I said, "Hey, take it back, show it to Tom, wet sand and buff it, make sure it's all good, and then have Tom call me." Well, Tom didn't call me. I've messaged Tom twice, be like, "Hey, can I
I'll
send
go-
you a bill?"
I'll go stop it.
Nothing.
It's right down the road from me.
So
For those that don't know. Hey Dave, we've kept you long enough, and thank you very much for coming on the show. It's a great story. So
Great
you,
story, good talk. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff.
appreciate you
Really
guys,
appreciate
man.
it.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Hey.
glad to see you both excelling and doing well.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm out
Everybody
here
head
doing.
to MTE.
Yeah, for sure.
What's that again?
What?
MTE at. It's not going to be at the Gaylord Porn Palms anymore.
Gay corn palms.
Gaylord Porn Palms. I got
Yeah.
the T-shirt there to prove it.
He got the T-shirt.
Stefan was so upset about that.
He got him a T-shirt out of it though. So I mean, well,
Why
you know,
not, right?
right,
T-shirt's a
right.
T-shirt.
Hey, whatever.
Appreciate
Yeah,
all
I
you
mean,
guys, man.
myself.
20
Somebody
bucks is
sent
20
me-
bucks.
Somebody
Right.
sent me a video the other day of somebody saying porn when they shouldn't have, and it was somebody that's a body shop, and I'm like, who the heck are you that you know my mess up? Some random person sending me like, oh man,
Right.
I'm never gonna live that down.
Right. Yeah, they'll
Hey-
let anybody
hey,
on here,
Richie.
James.
Shut up.
Hey. Well, we appreciate all you guys hanging out with your buddy Gene,
Talking.
Chris, James, everybody. I mean, I really appreciate it. Dave, thanks for coming on. Next week, we're supposed to focus on the food.
You got all muffled. Somewhere along the lines, your voice just disappeared.
Yeah, you're gone.
Oh, good. I thought it was just me.
No.
Hey, I'll finish the show for you. You ready? She's smooth, boy.
She's smooth.
She's smooth. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
All right. All I wanted to do was tell everybody that we're going to have the founder and CEO of Crash Champions on next week, Matt Ebert. Really successful guy, nationwide chain of body shops. And honestly, out of all the MSOs, I've heard a lot of good things about Crash Champions, which
Mhm.
I can't say about any of the other stores.
Yeah.
All the other stores I've heard 99% bad things. That you even worked at one, didn't you, Nick?
Yep, I did.
Yep.
I did.
There he is.
I did.
She's smooth.
He's smooth.
James,
Well, you
I
guys
wanna
come and
ask-
hang out with us and get
I
to know
love
Crash
James.
Champions and Matt
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah,
ask
it's
some
gonna
questions.
be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great show, just like every show. But
Right.
we're excited for it.
Right.
But anybody, all right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Peace out. Thank you.